Alrighty, got it recorded. So, welcome everybody. Glad you could join us for our Zoom call. And tonight, Carrie and I are planning on talking about consistency and time management. As we were planning this meeting, we kind of realized there's a lot of the two kind of go hand in hand. It's almost like you can't have do one good without having the other, like the plan in place. So I believe we talked about that we were going to start talking about consistency first. So Carrie, I think you wanted to start out talking about that. Do I remember correctly?
Yeah, sorry, I was dealing with the kid.
Okay.
You're supposed to be straight to her daddy, but apparently she forgot that.
No problem.
Yeah. Hey, Beth. Hey. What I'm going to have you guys do is just that way we don't get any.
Yeah, if you can hit mute or maybe I can.
Okay. Can everybody still hear me? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay. Perfect. So what I was going to talk about today is just the importance of, our big picture is time management and consistency. One of the things that's very easy to do in an at-home business is to just fritter away time. And really, that's just life in general. People, often will say, I don't have enough time for this, or I don't have enough time for that. I can't cook because I'm so tired, or I can't work out, or whatever. We hear that all the time. The same goes for our business. And the most important thing about our business is setting a schedule and being consistent with that. I posted just kind of a joke today. No one even liked it, or I had a few likes, but I didn't want to offend anyone. But I thought, I thought it was funny and cute that, obviously the answer is I'm better than all of you. And that was the main answer. No, really. The whole idea is that I am not better than you. I didn't post that today to brag to you. What I posted it to show you today is how important consistent behavior day in and day out, whether it is 30 minutes that you can commit to the business, or an hour or 10 hours, whatever it is, whatever you have, if you can commit that time on a daily basis, I guarantee that you will see over time the results of what time you are putting in. So if it's 30 minutes a day that you're putting into, let's say, Instagram, and you are focusing on getting people on Instagram, and maybe your goal is, I want to add 5 new people a day. Or maybe your goal is, I want to add 1 new person a day, 1 new follower. So you set that goal and you go at it consistently for, 30 days. If you say in 30 days time, I want to have added 30 new people. And that's what we have to do as coaches, is be consistent in basically the vital behaviors. So if you're not familiar with the vital behaviors, that's something to be very familiar with. The one is to be inviting. The biggest one I wholeheartedly believe is be proof the product works. Because if you are not drinking the shakes, and if you are not doing the workouts, and I don't mean that you have to do a workout every single day and post every single day a workout, but if you are never picking up a DVD and never drinking a shake, or drinking it on Sundays because, Sunday's a crazy day, that's a vital behavior. That's something that you must be doing. So proof the product works. 2 is invite. And then 3 is that personal development piece. And therein lies the consistency behaviors. So when you're doing those, and that's why I posted that today about, I do those on a daily basis. I set aside time for my personal development, whether it be a podcast. I mean, I count that as my personal development. I listen to podcasts all the time when I'm driving in the car. I'm in the car so often. And I bought one of those little mini speakers that's Bluetooth speaker for $20 on Amazon. And it Bluetooths into my phone, and I can listen to podcasts and not have to stick the phone up to my ear so I can hear it on the highway. It's great. So I listen to that. I get my workout in very early so that it's done and I don't have to fritter away the day. And, at 5 o'clock, I'm not saying, oh my gosh, I didn't get my workout in. And then the other thing that ties into that is being consistent with your posts. We as coaches, people look to us, not as experts. They look to us because we have stated that we are Beachbody coaches. And so the idea is you don't have to be the fittest person in the world, but the idea is that you are working on yourself. And when you are sharing your life and sharing your story with people, and I was just talking to my newest coach, Sierra, about this today. When you share your life with people and you are real and you're honest, but you share it in a way that people want to genuinely get to know you, that's when things start to happen. It's not when you post every couple of days when you remember. It's not when you randomly post something about a Beachbody product and put a link out there. People are not going to purchase off of that. I'm just putting it out there. I've been a coach for 4 years. Michelle can attest to this too. I can count on the number of hands when I put a link out how many people bought. On the number of one hand, I can count how many times that's happened. So again, just consistency. And I'll say that a million times, and you'll hear us say that over and over. I'm going to put it over to Michelle to let her talk about some other things with time management. But that's a huge piece, is that consistency in your behavior.
And just to touch on real quick, when you mentioned about putting the link out and you can count the number of times that people ordered something, the thing to always keep in mind is that this is about building relationships. And, honestly, this is a really personal journey for most people. Even when I ask questions, sometimes people are not so open to share everything initially, and that's part of the whole building trust thing. So, in the beginning, when you start with these invites, I think a lot of times there's a lot of question and just not knowing what you're doing, what exactly all this means. And so it's just easier to say no, especially if they're busy and it's going to be, something maybe they just really don't have time to look into. But when you are consistently posting things on Facebook, and so then they're kind of stalking you and seeing, these cookie crumbs that you're putting out there, different things that you're doing, that will give them a pretty good idea of what it is that you're doing. And so then it might be enough, even if you haven't contacted them again yet, to reach out to you and say, hey, you've been talking about this 21-day fix thing. It looks kind of interesting. Can you tell me more about it? Or can I get, Shakeology from you? Or can you tell me more about Shakeology? And it starts a conversation. And so the other thing that, and I'm going to get into the time management portion, but, before I get there, the one thing that I wanted to say is that sometimes it becomes really easy for us to say, I'm not going to do that today, or time's kind of tight, so I just won't send out any invites today, because no one's really shown an interest, and I'm kind of feeling a little discouraged and disappointed. And trust me, I remember Carrie and I talking initially within the first few months of us coaching about feeling that discouraged and disappointment because we were putting all these invites out. And, I remember a conversation of saying, like, I put out 50 invites and I only heard back from 2 people. It happens. And the thing is that we were so new to a lot of things and we were trying these things. But we just truly didn't understand some of that piece of the connection and stuff behind it. And so I started off a call actually with Beth earlier today and wanted to share this because I think it kind of leads into everything. It actually is a book that I try to look at every day. It's Blessings for the Morning, and it gives some some really good prayerful encouragement. And so this verse that I'm going to share is James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. And it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And it goes on to talk, and these are the things that really started to stand out for me, because the whole thing was about joy and strength. And it says, "May you understand that he's developing your perseverance in you, so you'll be mature and complete, lacking in nothing. May you see the blessing in your battles instead of becoming self-aware and wondering why so many arrows are aimed at you. May you simply become a better warrior. And may you hold of the generous amounts of wisdom God has offered you in this place, so that when it's all said and done, you're still standing. Have a great and victorious day." And so, we can all choose every single day, and so many things in life, to just give up, or to stop doing something, stop sending out invites because we're not hearing back, or we're hearing so many no's. And, we also have the choice to look at the positive side of things. And, maybe I have encouraged somebody to get started and they're just walking, or they're joining me occasionally for some sort of workout, and they're just starting to get, they're at the beginning of their journey. And so I think with any situation, we can all see the positive in whatever it is, and it will make us stronger as individuals. And I certainly know that has definitely happened to me. And so, that kind of ties into the whole consistency thing that Carrie just talked about. And then part of the consistency is time management, and how you deal with organizing your day. Because like Carrie said, whether you have 5 hours a week, or you have 20 hours a week or more, or somewhere in between to spend on your business, it doesn't matter, as long as you make those hours count for you. And so what I know has helped me is that anytime that I create myself a schedule and I work from a list, I am so much more productive. I don't get on Facebook and then find out that 45 minutes has gone by because I just got sucked into scrolling and checking out pictures, etc., versus getting on there for the initial reason that I wanted to get on in the first place, to make a post, or maybe to respond to somebody who I started a conversation with, etc. So one of the things that I do, and I have found to truly be very helpful for me, is that I create a list, and I've heard it referred to as like the top 5 or top 10 things that you want to do that day, or even somewhat daily, because some of these things are going to be repeated. And you prioritize those things, so that if you run out of time, that you at least got, maybe the first 3 or 4 items on that list are like definite must-dos. No matter what, I'm going to get this done. And you can also, part of your list is doing your workout and drinking your shake, which again is part of that proof of the product works. So, one of the things that I always try to do is I try to post something on Facebook that is sharing like what maybe a workout that I did, or drinking my shake on the way to driving the kids to school, or something like that, kind of like a little bit of me, something that's happening in my day. And then I might post something later that is talking about an upcoming challenge group that I'm looking to fill. And then other stuff might be really non-beach body like, but still kind of promoting who I want to be and who I strive to be, and being a positive person and encouraging and motivating. So if I find some kind of a quote or something and I think, oh, that's an awesome quote, and it will encourage people to do a workout or to just be better that day or something, then that might be another one of my posts. And that's one thing that is definitely on high priority for me. Another one is sending out some invitations, or if I've already invited somebody, the follow-up part, if I haven't heard or I have heard back, which a lot of times I do have conversations. Sometimes I'll find I have a message waiting for me because I sent something out the night before and they sent something back either late at night or after I was off or early in the morning. So I always, at least say, hey, I can't respond now if that time is not good for me, but I will get back to you, a little bit later when I get back on. Another priority for me is posting in our groups and, just trying to encourage and help motivate people who have come to me for help as their coach. And so those are some of the things that make my to-do list every day. I'm also like Carrie in the fact that I've really gotten into listen to podcasts. So a lot of times my personal development is on a podcast, but sometimes it is also taking a little bit of time and reading, and it's not necessarily a lot of time. I typically chunk out 15 minutes unless I'm really into something, then I might go a little bit longer. But for me, it is so much easier for me to listen to the podcast, and whether I'm driving, so I do it when I'm washing dishes, especially now that the kids are in school. I can totally be cleaning up and stuff and listening to a podcast. So like I'm getting two things done at once and I feel ultra productive. And then the other thing to think about too, and I think Carrie, you were probably going to touch a little bit on this, was with the help with posting. And if you're posting multiple times a day, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be on Facebook or whatever social media 24/7 and always feel connected, because we have things like Hootsuite where you can schedule a post, and so you can put whatever your post is and say when you want it to be posted to your wall, and it will post for you, which is a great tool. I've used it in the past, and I'm probably going to get back to that because it's so easy to sit there and think about your post, which you kind of have a little bit of a plan anyways as you start really getting into a routine with your posts. And you can schedule multiple posts at once and just get a whole bunch done. And you might even have your post basically scheduled for the whole entire week for, maybe it's a middle of the day post because it's harder to get online, or maybe for me it might be a post that it will go out when I'm helping my kids with their homework and I'm not going to be able to do a post. So Carrie, do you want to talk a little bit more about, or first before we go there, I'm going to unmute Anna because I know Anna, I really like how you have made a schedule and made things work because you have a full-time job and you want to make the Beachbody thing work because you have the goal that someday you'll be able to quit your full-time job and be a stay-at-home mom and still be able to bring in income as a coach. So I think I have you unmuted now. Can you talk?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. You're on, girl.
Yay. Yeah, I can't wait till the day I can fire my boss because I'm really tired of all the extra work he gives me. So this week has been pretty intense. So for me, like my job is really unpredictable in hours. Like it's not a set 8 to 5 and I have those set times. Like I have a lot of morning meetings and evening meetings, and so sometimes my schedule can be really irregular. So it's been kind of a work in progress with trying to figure out a schedule that works for me. And so one thing that I do is I stay late at work and I do beach body stuff. It's kind of funny because my boss probably on most weeks thinks that I'm an overachiever because I'm staying till like 6:30 at night at the office every night. But after 5 o'clock, I just, put my regular work stuff away and I just start working on beach body stuff. And I try to make that time really, really productive. So I just try to stay laser focused, like you were saying, Michelle, not scrolling through Facebook, but like only focusing on invites and follow-ups. And so I try to spend, on a normal week, not this week, unfortunately, but on a normal week, I spend about an hour a day, like going through and following up and sending out invites and having conversations with people. So I found that a lot of people are free at that time because they're just getting off work and they're checking in with social media and stuff like that. So it's been a really productive hour for me to stay late and do that. Because I found that like when I came home from my job, then it was like, oh, I need to clean, I need to do laundry, I need to do all these other things. And I'll do beach body later. And then later I'm like, well, I'm tired. I just worked a full day. I don't feel like working another hour. So for me, with having a full-time job, it's so much easier to just attach it at the end of my day. And then, if people message me later that night, it's real easy to send a message back. But I'm not sitting there like going through my list and contacting new people and following up with people. The other thing I do is for me, like I carry a small notebook in my purse, and that has my customer list and my prospect list and my list of things that I post. And so that's really nice for me because when I'm sitting, like waiting for an appointment with somebody I have downtown and I have 10 minutes to kill, then I can sit there and work on those things. Or if I'm in line at the grocery store, I sit there and work on that because it's just a small notebook that I keep in my purse. And then I also listen to podcasts in the car. A lot of my personal development is through podcasts. And I've found some really good ones out there. There are a couple of new ones that I found recently that I'll post in our group, which I will warn you, the F-bomb is dropped a few times throughout them. So it might not be something you want to listen to with kids in the car, but it's really, really good business advice. But I listen to at least an hour of podcasts every day. So I kind of, in some ways, felt like I was losing my life in the car because I had all this time to listen to podcasts. And I was like, what have I been doing with my life? I can now get all this personal development in the car, and there are so many great podcasts out there. So those are kind of the things I do for time management for me that work really well, with staying at late at work, carrying a notebook with all my prospect lists, and then listening to podcasts in the car. So that's what I have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm sure that others will find that helpful as well. It just gives you ideas. So, Carrie, did you want to touch on the Hootsuite and like a pick monkey stuff a little?
I don't want to go into a ton of detail because Michelle and I talked to today about the whole, there's ways to schedule things like she was talking about Hootsuite. That is definitely something that we would love to do a separate training on, because I know for new coaches that might be a completely foreign thing that they've never even heard of. And now they're like, I can't even barely get into my online office. Now you want me to do Hootsuite, and now you want me to watch videos and podcasts. So I know that right now your mind is exploding. So I'm not going to go into all of that. But just know that stuff is coming. There are ways to maximize your time so that you are not spending all of your time posting, because what happens when you're posting is you get sucked into Facebook land. It is very easy to do. I do it all the time. You would think that as long as I've been doing this that I wouldn't be. But I was telling Michelle today that my most unproductive days are Monday and Friday. Or I think I said Monday and Thursday. Monday and Thursday, I have nothing to do. Nothing. I have a few phone calls that I have scheduled on Thursdays. Mondays, I don't have anything as of right now. And you would think that those would be my most productive days, but they aren't, because I fritter away my time. The days that I have things scheduled, whether it be an exercise class or whatever it is, I do so much better because I have put stuff on my calendar and I know what I need to do. I'm consistent with my behaviors and I get it done. So, I will not let you use that excuse on me that I have a limited amount of time and I can't do this business. Because if this is something that you really want to make work, you can make it work. You just have to schedule it and you have to be consistent. Your Facebook posts are the biggest thing that you have to be consistent on. And I'm not talking about, I said it before and I'll say it again, I'm not talking about Beachbody plaster all over your wall. I made the mistake, and that's why I'm telling you all not to do what I did when I first started coaching. As they say, I vomited all over my page for Beachbody coaching. I was a Beachbody coach, and I wanted everyone to know. And if you want to buy P90X, because that was like the newest program then when I started, then you can buy it through me. And here's my link. And I would jump on anyone who's liked to comment. And I was so desperate and needy in the beginning. And it's very easy to do. I get it, because you want this business to work. But I'm telling you, and I'll say it again and again and again, that as Michelle said, when you build those relationships and you share your story, people will then come to you. But they will not come to you when you have not given them anything. When all you've done is shared products, they're not going to come to you. When you share your story, when you share your struggles, when you share, hey, I'm doing a sugar challenge this week and it's way harder than I thought it was going to be. Do you guys have any tips? Have you tried this before? When you share things like that, people start to connect with you. And I was just saying with my coach today, why do we think comedians are so funny? Because they share real stuff that we deal with every day. We connect with them and we think, oh, I totally thought I was the only one that did whatever they think is hilarious, So when they're talking about that, you're like, oh my gosh, I totally do that every single day. And I, whatever. So when you're sharing those bits on Facebook, people are then seeing you as a real person and they begin to connect with you and your story. And those people that you want to fold into your world are going to come naturally. So just be aware of that. It's the consistent vital behaviors that bring those people in. So I get so excited about that stuff because it fires me up because I made lots of mistakes and I don't want people to make those mistakes.
Yeah, very, very good. I know we're down to about the last 8 minutes, so I wanted to open it up to give you all any time to comment on anything, maybe something you heard tonight sparked something, or maybe you have a question about something we said, or maybe just another question in general. So don't all speak at once.
So I'm curious, in general, how much do you guys contact someone? Like if you send them a message on Facebook, you don't hear from them. Like how many times do you contact someone when you're getting crickets before you're like, oh, okay, maybe not?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's a case-by-case kind of scenario. It might kind of depend on how comfortable I am with that person. But I typically try to follow up, I would say generally at least 2 more times. And like if I have that message, like the way where I say, hey, I don't know if you got my message the other day, even though I could see they checked it. And said, I don't know if you just got busy and didn't have time to respond, or you forgot, or if you're, just not even interested, which I usually try to leave that part out, the not interested. I just don't know if you got busy and forgot to respond to me, but I have this group that's going to be starting soon, and if you are interested, we should definitely try to connect and talk more soon. And so if I don't hear back from that, I'm trying to get better about sending one more message out before like giving up, at least for that time. And then they're on my list for a future. Maybe it's a couple months down that I'll invite them to another challenge. And at that point, I'll say, hey, I've invited you to a challenge in the past. Maybe it was just bad timing for you. I've got another one getting ready to start up. I think you might be interested in it. Would you like to find out more type thing? So I don't know, Carrie, do you do something similar?
Yeah, very similar. And I won't go too much detail, but basically the same thing. You know, I will go even farther sometimes depending on the relationship I have with that person. But I've gone up to 3 to 5 and, follow-ups. And because what I'm looking for is a no. I want them to flat out tell me, no, I'm not interested. Sweet. That's all I want to hear. I will take you off my list, or I'll put you on for a couple months from now. Those are the things that I want to hear. And so if it's a matter of me saying at the end, like after the 3rd or 4th follow-up, I might say, hey, I know life gets crazy. However you want to word it, depending on what you worded the last time, I'm about to get started. I am more than happy to put you on the list for next month if you want me to follow up with you, if next month's a better time. But I would love to hear either way what your plan is. And 9 times out of 10, after that 4th or 5th, I think, man, I feel like I'm being annoying, but I'll get a response. And that's all I want. And that's what I tell them. I say, thank you so much for responding. That's all I wanted to hear. And I know I posted in this that image before that said, people will follow up. I can't remember all the different numbers, but it was crazy after what happens after the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th follow-up, or the 7th time of seeing the same post. That's when the people actually connect. Not everyone. Some people will buy on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, but there's many people who have to see it many times before they actually will commit. So I think that's great, Michelle, that even after 2 months or 3 months, you say, I'm going to come back to that person and not just write them off,
Right.
Renee can attest to this, and I know she's not on the call. Hopefully she'll listen to the recording. But she is one that I followed up with a year later because she was not ready to coach. And I said, you will make a fantastic coach. Followed up with her a year later. She was ready. Time was right, and she committed immediately. So you just never know.
Absolutely. And I've certainly learned not to just write people off because I didn't hear back. Because I've had people contact and reach out to me. And I remember something you said, Carrie, just sparked a memory with me on that follow-up. If you're really trying to get to that, I want to hear a yes or no, I want a response type thing, is to say something like, it seems like you now must not be a good time for you to do this challenge. Would it be okay for me to mark you down for next month, or to contact you in 2 months for a future challenge? Maybe that would be a better time for you to think about it. And there have been times where I've gotten a response there, and I say, yeah, I think a couple months will be much better. I appreciate you. I appreciate if you contact me then. So something to try there. Anything in this? Any other questions? Somebody drinking?
We have about 3 minutes left, 3:55.
Yep. Okay, well, I guess nobody has any other questions, comments. I hope, I know Carrie and I want this to be valuable for everybody. So, feel free if there's anything that you would like us to focus on for a topic for a future Zoom meeting, to post something in Team Change and say there's something you have an interest in. But like Carrie said, we didn't want to get too much in to talk about Hootsuite and different stuff like that tonight, because we do plan on really focusing in on one day, one meeting for that type of thing because there's a lot to it. But if you have any questions about any of those things, or if you check it out and you have a question, feel free to post in our group because we can definitely put some information out then, and maybe one of our next meetings we can try to talk about that. So
Sounds good.
alrighty. Well, it's been real nice, ladies. Thanks for joining us and making the time for this call. Hope you guys have a good night, and let's make this a good month. Hopefully, everybody can kind of capitalize on the momentum that we built last month with the Team Cup Challenge and all the invitations that you're working on. Like, continue to push yourself with sending out new invitations and following up with some of those people. Like Carrie and I both have already shared, we had people that we contacted technically for last month trying to get them on the challenge to start like next week, that both already committed to doing a challenge as soon as they get the product, like get them on and join a little bit late. So
and the other thing that I'll just touch real fast on,
okay.
The way I really word challenge packs, I don't know if people start off with this, but when people come to me about Shakeology or they're interested in Shakeology, I always tell them about the 140 option of something, whether it be Beachbody On Demand, whether it be the PIO Challenge Pack this month, the Shakeology 3-day refresh. I always just say, hey, for $10 more, you can actually get a program. So I know you're really interested in Shakeology, but there's some great programs. Let me tell you about it. And that's how I sold 2 of them yesterday and the day before, or today, PIO, because of that. They were just interested in the shakes, and they then got programmed. So just keep that in mind. That's always there. They're always going to have a 140 program. All right?
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks for sharing.
Yep. Have a great week. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye, Anna. Bye, Beth.
Bye.